All right, so this should be showing y'all my first two questions. So question one wanted me to convert 18 feet to inches. So the one measurement that I'm going to use on this is that I know 12 inches equals 1 foot. And then that looks like the only conversion I need on this. So I'm going to start with 18 feet. Now remember on my conversion, since feet's on top, I got to put my 1 foot to the bottom to get them to cancel the feet out. And then the 12 inches will go to the top. So now we cancel our feet. So y'all, this one looks like we're just going to multiply the top. 18, whoops, let me turn that on. 18 times 12, and that gives us 216 inches now. So let's see, they've already got the inches, so all we would have to do is put in the 216. All right, number two said convert 8 years to hours. And they're saying neglect leap years. So we're going to start with 8 years. And we're going to turn these years into hours. Now, I'm going to go with how many days is in 1 year. So I know that 1 year is 365 days. So you want to convert from years to days. Don't use weeks, because if you use weeks, the weeks will lose one of your days, okay? So let me show you what I mean. So there's 365 days in a year. If you use weeks on that and then said there were 7 days in a week, look what you get. You get 364. So that is going to make your answer off by 1 day if you convert from weeks to days. So go directly from years to days on that so that it'll get all 365 days. So now the years are canceled. So we're going to hours. So now I can go from days to hours because I know for every 1 day, there's 24 hours. So now my days cancel. So multiply everything on the top, and then we're going to be left with the hours. So 8 times 365 times 24. That gives me a total of, looks like 70,080 hours. So once again, they've got the hours, so we just put in the number we got. Okay, so the first two, just doing conversions. So questions on those two? All right, so I'm not hearing anything. So my number 3 here says a certain race is a distance of 18 furlongs. How far is the race in miles and how far is it in yards? Now they're giving you the, if you click, it'll open up this little conversion chart. So we're wanting to go from furlongs to miles. So let's see, up here's the furlong stuff. So this is telling me 1 furlong is equal to 1/8 of a mile. Now, y'all, I'm going to show you a trick. I don't like multiplying with the fractions. So I'm going to turn 1/8 into a decimal and see what that gives me. So I'm going to go 1 divided by 8. And that gives me 0.125. So I'm going to use 0.125 of a mile instead of that 1/8 mile. All right, so that'll get me from furlongs to miles, which is what I needed. So here we go. We're going to start with 18 furlongs. And I'm going to turn furlongs into miles using this conversion that says 1 furlong. is equal to 0.125 miles. So the furlongs cancel. We're going to be left with miles like we needed. So 18 times 0.125, that's going to give us 2.25. And that is now in miles. Now you could have did that if you did the, when I start with 18 times 1 divided by 8. If you keep your fractions in parentheses, then it'll still give you the same answer, okay? All right, then we got to do what? Convert that into yards. So let me find, oh, I got stuff right here about yards. So what I'm going to use is the mile conversion and convert the miles into yards. Because if you notice, I don't have one for furlongs to yards. So if I started with furlongs, I would have to convert them to miles and then yards all in one problem. But y'all, since I know that this is 2.25 miles, I'm going to use this conversion that says 1 mile is 1,760 yards. All right, let me mark one in real quick. Let me see. Oh, thanks for letting me. Let's see. All right, so like I said, I'm going to use the conversion from miles to yards. So 1 mile is 1,760 yards. So y'all notice those miles are canceling. So we'll multiply 2.25 times 1,760. And that gives me a total of 3,960 yards. So they've got the yards here. So I would put my 3,960. And then they got the miles here. I'll put 2.25. So when they say an integer or decimal, the decimal was like my 2.25. And then the 3,960, since it didn't have a decimal, they consider that the integer. All right, so it looks like we're going to move the camera down a little bit so y'all can see my number 4 here. Four says decide which of the two given prices is the better deal and why. So we can fill a 12-gallon tank of gas for $41.24, or we can buy gas for $3.60 a gallon. So we know that one is going to be $3.60 per gallon. But over here we got $41.24 for 12 gallons. So we got our $3.60 up here. What we want to do is get that second price to be per gallon. So to turn that into per gallon, we're going to take the top and divide by the 12. So let's see, we got 41.24. So 41.24 divided by 12. That's going to give me 3.4. So I'm going to round it to the nearest cents. So the 3 has a 6. So I'm going to turn the 3 into a 4. So that gas was $3.44 per gallon now. So let's see, $3.60 a gallon, $3.44. The better deal is definitely the $3.44, which was what I got when I did the 12-gallon tank. So come down here and let's see, this one says the better deal is $3.60, false. This one says the better deal is the 12-gallon tank, because the price to fill the 12-gallon tank was 3.44 per gallon. Okay, now if that would have came out to a higher number, then I would have picked the other one for that same reason, okay? So, question on those two. All right, so the next one's probably one of the trickier ones on here. So let me move this back up. So this is one about the apartments. So the monthly rent on a 10 square meter apartment in Monte Carlo is 1,200 euros. The monthly rent on a 550 square foot apartment in Santa Fe is 850. In terms of price per area, which apartment is less expensive? So notice in the answers, they got stuff in square feet. So I'm going to price them both per square foot, okay? So let me get a piece of paper to write this on. So I'm going to put it right in here. All right, so what do we know? We know 10 square meters is 1,200 euros. 1,200 euro for 10 square meters. So that'll be 10 meters squared. So that was for my Monte Carlo. For Santa Fe, we said it was $850 for 550 square feet. So that's going to be feet squared on that. So this one will be easy because all I got to do is divide that to get the price per square foot. The euros is going to be the tricky one for us, okay? So let's right off the bat, let's knock out the US one. So let's take 850, divide that by the 550. So that's giving us about 1.5. Let's see, they're rounding to the nearest cent. So since that 4 has a 5 behind it, I'm going to make that a 5. So that is $1.55 now per square foot. So we got to do that on this one, okay? So let's take that 1,200 euro. And that's over 10 meters squared. So there's two things we got to do. We got to turn euros into American dollars. We got to turn meters squared into feet squared. So I'm going to move this to show you. They're giving you right here, they're giving you conversions. Now you don't see no cubes on here or no squares. So what you got to do is take the conversion. I'm going to use this one that says 1 meter. So 1 meter equals 3.28 feet. Now, we're dealing with feet squared and meters squared, so we need to square both sides of these to get the meter squared and a feet squared. So 1 meter times 1 meter is 1 meter squared. 3.28 times 3.28. So remember, when you square something, you're just multiplying it times itself. That gives me 10.7584 feet squared. So that's how you convert them from the meters and feet into the meter squared, feet squared. So now I can get rid of my meter squared using this conversion. So remember, the meter squared's got to cancel. So the 1 meter squared goes to the top. 10.7584 feet squared go to the bottom. Y'all look at this. The meter squareds now cancel, so our units will be in feet squared. So the second thing we had to cancel was the euros and turn that into American money. So let's go right here. They would give you the currency. So here's the euros. So Where's my conversion? 1.058. That's how many dollars for the foreign, okay? And then the 0.9449 would be foreign per our dollars. So what I want to do for every €1, it is $1.058. So €1 equals 1.058 American dollars. So let me move that up here now. So we got that conversion. So I'm canceling euros, so the euro's going to the bottom. The American's going to the top, which is $1.058 per euro. It sort of tells you that the euro is a little stronger because it takes almost $1.06 to equal €1, okay? But look what happens. The euros cancel. So I'm going to multiply the top and then divide by 10 and then divide by the 10.7584. So here we go. 1,200 times 1.058 equals 1,269. Divide that by 10 and then divide by the 10.7584. So when I hit enter on that, I get $11.80. So Santa Fe, $1.55 per square foot. Monte Carlo, $11.80 per square foot. So you would come back and it says the Monte Carlo apartment cost, we would say $11.80 per square foot, and the Santa Fe apartment cost $1.55 per square foot. Therefore, the apartment in, you would have to choose your Santa Fe is less expensive. So y'all, that's one of the trickier ones on this quiz, but remember, this one's already in dollars per foot squared, so just divide it and get its amount. The European one, you got to switch the euros into American money. You got to switch the meter squared into feet squared. So you'll use the same conversions that I did for mine, okay? All righty, let's see what's next. So I think there was like 8 or 9 on this. Let's see. Yeah, I'm showing 8, so we're on 6. So I'm gonna move that down. So unfortunately, 6. That one doesn't have necessarily a set way to do it. The only way to do this one is see how much they got for the buses, see how much they got for the cars, and multiply all these by those values and see if it equaled the 136. Because they're not telling us how many cars actually pass through that tow. They're just giving us different possible answers. So for all the buses, we're going to multiply them by 8. For all the cars, we're going to multiply them by 3. And then add those up and see if it equals 136. If it equals 136, then you got to pick that answer. So I would do 17 times 8 plus 0 times 3. That gives me 136, which is what I needed. So I pick A. 11 times 8 plus 16 times 3. That one gives me 136, so I'll pick that one. Let's see, 2 times 8 plus 40 times 3, 136. So you pick that one. 3 times 8 plus 37 times 3. Whoop, 135, so you don't pick that one. Next, we got 5 times 8 plus 32 times 3, 136, so we pick that one. And then we do this side the same way. This side, we're multiplying buses times 8 still, cars times 3. So 14 times 8 plus 8 times 3, 136. So you pick that one. What's that? 8 times 8 plus 24 times 3, 136. Pick that one. So you see, there's quite a few of these answers that's actually working. $135, so we don't go with F. So 135, I don't go with J. And then let's try the last one. 0 times 8, so 45 times 3, 135. So I don't pick that one. So all the ones I got checked equaled 136. So that one's not necessarily what I would call hard. It's just tedious because you got to do that 10 times to get those possible answers, okay? Oh, y'all, look at this. We got the pipe one coming up. That's y'all's favorite, right? But it looks like every time I've done this, it's been the same numbers. So let's see what we got. So I'm going to sort of draw this. I got me a pipe. It tells me my pipe has 8 turns of wire. So the wires are turning around the pipe. And they're doing that like 8 times. All righty. Then they say the pipe is 60 inches long. So that is 60 inches. They're telling me it has a circumference of 4 inches. The circumference is the distance around that circle. So that distance they said was 4 inches. So let's see, they want to know what is the length of the wire that we wrapped around that pipe. So what is the length of the wire? So I'm gonna move my camera back up so we can mark that. All right, so y'all should be seeing my drawing. I got a wire wrapped around this pipe. It starts at one end and touches the bottom. So you wrapped it around 8 times. They told me that the bar was 60 inches long and that it had this circumference of 4 inches. So what they're saying to do for this problem, they said, hey, we're going to cut this pipe along its length so that you can fold it out. So if you fold it out, and then this would be that wire coming down, and it's going to do that 8 times. Well, mine ain't all nice and pretty, but you get the gist. This, if you made imaginary lines down through all these, you would notice that you have a bunch of triangles. So we're going to focus on one of these triangles right here. I need to know the length of this long side on that triangle, and I need to know the length of this small side of this triangle so that I can find out how long is that one turn of wire going to be. So we know what this end is, because if I took my pipe and cut it and laid it flat, this part that used to be the circumference is going to be this long edge right here. So I know that edge, no matter what, is going to be 4 inches. Now, I don't know what these little distances are at the moment, but I do know that that whole pipe was 60 inches. So that whole side was 60 inches. Now I do know this, since I turned my wire around there 8 times, I know that that would make 8 little sections going down through there. So if I divide by the number of turns, that will give me the length of each of those little sides. So let's do that. 60 divided by 8 gives me 7.5. So that means each one of these is 7.5 on that side. But y'all, we're not worried about that. All we're worried about is how long is that wire? Because if I know the length of that wire, I can figure out the length of my whole wire. So y'all, let's draw what we got. We got this now. And we're just going to focus on that one triangle. 7.5 here, 4 here. Do y'all remember what I used to solve this? So Pythagorean theorem. So I didn't see no chats off y'all. So Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equaled c squared. This is A, this is B. The longest side that you don't know on this triangle is the C. And it's always across from what we call the right angle. So the right angle always looks like a corner. So always that longest side across from it is the hypotenuse, which is always the C, okay? So now, A we said was 4, so put a 4 in and square it. B was 7.5, so put 7.5 in and square it. All that's going to equal C squared. All right, so 4 times 4 is 16. Now I don't know 7.5 squared in my head, so I got my calculator, so I'm going to put 7.5. I'm going to hit that x squared button over here. That's going to put my exponent up there. I'm going to hit enter, and I get 56.25, all equal to our C squared. So now add these together. So I got 56.25. I'm going to add my 16 to that. That's going to give me 72.25 equal to our C squared. All right, when you get an equation like this and you got a C squared, your last step is to take square roots of both sides. Because when you take the square root of a variable being squared, it just equals that variable. And then remember, C times C was C squared, so the square root of C squared gives you C. All right, y'all, square root of 72.25. There's a blue square root symbol right above that X2 key. So since it's blue, you got to hit the blue button first, and then the X2 key. That brings up your little radical, and then punch in 72.25, hit enter, and it tells me that that equals 8.5. So each of these wires coming down here equals 8.5. So to get the total length of this wire, so the total wire is going to be that 8.5 times the number of turns. And we said this thing had 8 turns. So the turns matter when you divide it to get each of the sides. The turns matter when you find the length of the wire, and you got to get the total length. All right, y'all, so 8.5 times 8 is going to give me a total of 68 inches. So y'all, that's a doozy right there. Between that one and the apartment one, this is a challenging quiz. This is probably more challenging than our test was, right? All right, so come down here and you'd put in your 68 inches. So we're down to number 8. Oh, and this one I didn't care for. So each of 10 barrels is filled with golf balls that all look alike. The balls at 9 arrows weigh 1 ounce. The balls in one of them weighs 2. So the ball in 9 of the barrels weighs 1 ounce, and the balls in one of the barrels weighs 2 ounces. So you got 10 of them. 9 have balls that weigh 1 ounce. One of them has a ball that weighs 2 ounces. With only one weighing on a scale, how can you determine which barrel contains the heavy golf balls? So let's look at these answers and see. They say weigh all the balls from all 10 barrels to find the average weight of the balls in all 10 barrels. Well, y'all, that's not going to help us because we won't know which balls contain those 2-ounce balls still. So we're still going to be, we'll just have an average of all the balls, but it's not going to separate them out. So we know it cannot be that. Weigh all the balls from one barrel to narrow down the selection of barrels that may contain the heavier balls. Well, it's still going to leave me 9 barrels. And out of the 9 barrels, I'm not going to be able to distinguish which one has the heavier balls. So no, weighing one barrel is not helping you. Select 1 ball from the first barrel, 2 balls from the second barrel, and so on, up to 10 balls from the 10th barrel. To find the weight of a specific number of balls in a specific barrel. So what they're saying is, one way or another, if you pick those balls like they're saying, then since some of them balls might be 2 ounces, you can weigh these 30-something balls against 30-something balls in the barrels. And if they're heavier, you know that one didn't contain them. So they got little tricks on that, but actually that's the one way that would work according to our company. And then this one says not possible. So that one was C on that one, and that one's always the same. I was hoping they would have done one with the coins and you had to measure the coins. That one was funner, but yeah, that'll work. All righty. That was the chapter 2 quiz. And I just did that because I did have a few people that were having issues on that quiz. So let me ask y'all this. Are y'all able to pull up Excel on your device you're on Zoom with? All right, so y'all listen. Y'all are going to have this recording later. So your homework using Excel before the next class, you're going to create a game grid like I'm about to do. You're going to get a game grid made. And then when we come to class next time, when we do the lab part, y'all going to be able to pull up your game grid because y'all are about to play some Battleship, okay? So since I'm recording this, I'm going to show you how I would make up a Battleship game grid. So let me pull up my Microsoft Excel. And I can't remember if I was showing y'all this last class or not, but I don't think we recorded it. So this is going to give y'all. And then here's the thing. Once y'all get your grid made, you're going to email me the file so I can look at your grid. And that's going to count as your first activity points, okay? So I've got Excel loading, so let it get up there. All right, so I'm going to share the screen. So y'all should be seeing when you click in, open your Excel, you want to click on what we call blank workbook. So click on the blank workbook. And it's going to bring up your game board. So y'all, here's what you're going to do. You're going to learn, you're going to make a 10 by 10 game board, and you're going to put 3 ships on it. So to make my game board, I'm going to go over here where A is and the 1, where I got the little box now. I'm going to hold my mouse down, and I'm going to make this 10 wide. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm going to go down 10. And then once you got it shaded, you can let off the mouse. I want these boxes to be outlined. So now inside the gray box, I'm going to right click, and it's going to pull these options up. Up here, you see a paint can. The A with a line under it just does the font color. Next to that, you see a box that looks like borders. I'm going to click that arrow, and I'm going to go down here to all borders and click that. Now notice it made my spaces all gray, but it made outlines in them. You see all the outlines? Now, I want all these to be the color of water. So I'm going to right click again. And up here by the little paint can, it says fill color. I'm going to click that arrow. And I'm going to make this sort of what looks like water. So let's see, that blue, there you go. I'm just going to click that. Now, when I click out of that, I got my grids outlined, and I got it blue. Okay, so let me go back. Let me stop my share. All right, so let me share that again. Are y'all seeing the screen now with blue boxes?
Yes, but I don't know how to get the outlining on them.
Yeah, I'm going to go back on it and undo my moves. All right, so we're on a good, now we're on a blank screen. So go up here where A is, hold the mouse down and make this 10 wide. So you're going to go over to J and down to 10. Now let off the mouse, and it's still going to stay gray. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my borders. So right click, and it brings up this little box up here. That's the paint can does the fill color. The A with the letter under it does your font color like Word. Next to that is a little square with lines in it. That's for borders. So I'm going to hit the arrow, and I'm going to go down and click the one that says all borders. I want it to outline that entire grid. Now, I want to turn it blue. So I right clicked again. And up here where the little paint can is, I had changed it to blue while ago. So let me do a different blue. So say I want that kind of blue right there. I click that color. Now, when I click outside of that anywhere, I got my boxes in here and it's blue. Now, I want this to look like squares. I don't like these little rectangular. So I want my row height to be almost as much as my width for my columns. So y'all watch this. I'm gonna click this up here where it says home. I'm gonna click home. Over here to the right. So y'all, I'm over here to the right side. Do y'all see where that format's sort of trying to gray? Where I'm at? I'm gonna click that format button. And look right here, it says row height. I'm gonna click that. Right now, my row height is 15. So I'm gonna make it about 45, it looks like. And hit OK. Oh, y'all, I didn't, my bad, I didn't highlight it all. So let me undo that move. I do that every time. Oh, where'd I go? So I'm gonna undo that. All right, so highlight your grid. And actually, I just highlight the whole. Highlight that grid and then go to home, format, row height. Make that what I say 45 and then hit OK. And it makes it all nice and big. So now we got a 10 by 10 game board over here, okay? So now what we're going to do is make some boats. So I'm going to make my tugboat. I'm going to make it 2 squares wide. So I'm going to come in here and highlight 2 of my squares. So what I did to highlight it, I drug my mouse right. I've got 2 squares. Now watch what I do for each one of these. I'm going to hit the home screen again. Pretty much everything we want is going to be on home. I'm going to hit this merge and center button. And look away, it takes away the line in the middle. Now I'm going to click inside that cell and see how it's going to center my name. We want that to be the tugboat, so I'm just going to write tug, T-U-G, B-O-A-T. All right, so I got my tugboat. So let me get back over here. I'm going to make my tugboat gray. So I'm going to right click. So remember, right click and brings up these colors. So if I right click, I want to make it sort of a light gray and hit enter. Well, y'all look at that. Anywhere I click, I got a gray tugboat right here. Watch this. Click into cell. I'm going to go to the edge, see how it made these arrows. Some of y'all, depending on the version, it might make a little hand there. But once you get them arrows, keep that mouse down and drag it into your game board. So I'm going to put mine right there, and it puts your tugboat on the board. So next, I'm going to highlight 3 cells here. So just hold the mouse and go right. I'm going to go home. I'm going to click merge and center. It made my boat 3 units wide. I'm going to come in here and click. And I'm going to write this one is going to be the submarine. So submarine. And then let's think, I'm going to make my submarine gray also. So, whoops. Let me click out and back in. Right click it. I had gray, but I'm going to make this one a little darker. All right, y'all. So my submarine's a little darker. So remember what I did? Go up until it makes those arrows and then drag your boat over. So I'm going to put my sub out front so y'all can't see my sub. It's underwater. All right, Bass 1, we're going to highlight a cell and drag the cursor right 4 units. Come up here, click home, merge and center. All right, I'm going to click in here. This one's a battleship. All right, so I'm gonna click out. So if I'm gonna make my battleship, let me click back in there. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna make it an even darker gray. So I'm gonna go with the last gray I got. So now I got a gray battleship. So remember, click in here. It's gonna give you the little arrows. And let's see. I guess I'll put my battleship about right there. So all y'all gotta do for my activity points, create one of these boards. Now, let me show you how to save this. Up on top, you should have a save as button. If not, let me show you how to get that. If you don't have these buttons on top showing like the save as and the print, if you'll click these little arrows over here, it'll bring this up. Go down here and do all commands. So what'll happen, that'll bring up all those commands are listed right here. So what you would do, say I want to add, say I want merge and center to be one of my quick keys up there. I can add that, hit OK down here. And now when I do that boat, say I was making one 5, if I hit merge and center right there, it automatically does it for me anytime I want to. So you can sort of shortcut keys on Excel if you want to, okay? So y'all think y'all can make that?
Yes.
It won't be too bad. And it'll give y'all a fun little activity to do. What's today? Wednesday. So that'll give y'all something fun to do Monday a little bit. So here's the thing. I mainly wanted y'all to focus on that test this week. So I'm not going to break out chapter 4 until next Monday, okay? So I would highly recommend do the quiz first. The test review counts as a quiz. Do that. It's 22 questions. Those are the ones we went over the other day. I sent like 2 videos going over that one. Once you get a good grade on that, because that's going to let you do it like as many times as you want. Once you get a good grade on that, try test 1. Hey, don't do test 1 before you do that review, because like I said, you want to get one shot on my test, okay? All that's due Sunday night at midnight. Now remember, a test will not let you work past the due dates like my quizzes and my homework, okay? So once you, if you don't do my test, it's automatically, it filters in zeros for those grades. And y'all don't need that because this test ain't bad if you do them study guides, okay? All right, so let me see, do we have any questions? You know, remember, watch the videos from the other day if you want to get really good doing them calculators on that scientific notation and everything, because we did a lot of examples on that, okay? All right, so I'll give you activity points today because y'all watched me do my grid. So to get the whole 100 points on the activity, you got to send me a file with your game grid, okay? And we'll say, oh, maybe by next Monday night when we come back on, okay? All right, y'all, any questions? Y'all are sort of quiet today. So here's the thing, focus on your test. That's number 1, okay? And then just play with the Excel. Remember, you can go to your email to get Excel. Just click on, when you log in your email, there's like 9 little dots on the left corner. Click on that and it'll let you have access to your Excel. All right, y'all, so I'm